afternoon or evening. This is Arseni, and today I'm going to actually be doing two videos because Orks got released in the multiplayer and solo skirmish beta of Battlefield Gothic Armada. I didn't expect Orks to actually be released probably until Sunday, but they were released yesterday night, and today I got a chance to play them. And I really enjoyed my experience. There are some problems. This is still beta, of course. So in this part, in this video, I'm going to show the Ork fleet and talk about the different ship types, building an Ork fleet, and also what are the little and not so little differences between Orks and Imperial Navy and Chaos. So let's jump into solo skirmish here. Okay, so we got some Ork pirates. All Ork ships are customizable. I'll get to that in a minute. Their ships are very, very tough. They're very, very strong at assault actions. You basically just want to get in range and either ram the enemy or board them. We'll talk more about that later. But they are more likely to disobey. They are very sluggish, very difficult to turn. And they have really terrible range and accuracy. So, obviously they're Orks. So let's jump in. I got my Ork Admiral to level 3, which unlocked a full cruiser. That's cruiser with a KR00ZER, since it's all Orky. So let's jump in here. Okay, so we've got, this is my cruiser. This is a cruiser. And I did customize it. I'll get to that in a bit. I basically made this one very heavy, very heavy, short-range, brutal assault ship. Just drive it into the enemy and wreak some havoc. Well, I'm going to use the opportunity actually with this cruiser to show how Ork fleet is different from Imperial Navy and Chaos. Okay, and a lot of it has to do with the favors and the upgrades, okay, that you have access to, and the skills. Okay, so stats-wise, Orks have some pretty unusual stats, actually. They're really terrible. Accuracy, really good at boarding. They get 1 additional assault action during boarding, which is good because what that means is they can, normally when you board, you destroy one, if you're successful, you destroy one of the components of the ship. So you might destroy their engines or the generators or one of the turrets or maybe even a deck. Now when Orks assault, they actually destroy 2 components. So that's actually really good. They are disorganized. And what that means is much higher chance of insubordination. We'll get to that. Squigglers. Now, the big change between Orks and Imperial Navy or Chaos is that Orks don't actually start with the ability to execute an insubordinate captain. Okay, if you want that ability, you have to, I believe, go into upgrades. Yeah, upgrades, and then you have to unlock it. So that actually makes Orks a bit more difficult. Like if you really want a fleet that will obey your orders most of the time and you can execute the captain, then you are going to have to spend an upgrade on that. Big red button. All Ork ships gotta have a big red button. Red ones go faster. So big red button is basically all ships, they can go to all engines full speed, but Orks, they can do that more often. Now their burn, their thruster burn, does not last as long as Imperial Navy or Chaos ships, but they can use it more often. So for Orks, it's less a way of getting into battle quicker. It's more of a way to get to the ramming speed and crush the enemy ships. And I hope I'll have a chance to show that because it's a very effective tactic for Orks. Noisy Orks. This is another big change. Now, Imperial ships and Chaos ships have an option. They have an ability called running silent, where they kind of shut down and they minimize their signatures, their warp drive signatures, and they kind of just stay stealthy. Orks don't get that. Okay, they are basically always loud unless but there is a way to get around that through one of the favors. We'll get to that soon. And Orks can customize their ships. So how do you customize your ships? Well, let me show you. Let me show you right now. I have an unlock slot here, and I'm going to go ahead and spend some renown and unlock this slot so I can show you how to customize Ork ships. Now, in one of my previous videos, I said that one of the problems I had with this game was that you can't customize the weapons on your ships. And thinking back on it, it kind of makes sense for Imperial Navy or Chaos. I mean, these are tremendously ancient ships in 40K setting. You know, some of the Chaos ships are more than 10,000 years old. Some of the Imperial ships are, 5 or 6 or 7,000 years old, and they don't really develop new weapons. Orks, on the other hand, love to customize. So here's what happens. Every time you add a new ship, and so add a light cruiser or bigger ship, you're going to get this screen, which is something that Imperial Navy and Chaos do not get. And this is your, pardon me, customization screen. Of course, it's custom with KU because they're Orks. Now, all Ork ships, by default, start with lots of guns, which is their basic macro cannon, and weak torpedoes. Most Ork ships have torpedoes, and we'll get to the torpedoes when I do my actual combat video. But you can also, instead, for example, instead of the torpedoes, I could switch to a mega cannon. All right, and the mega cannon is a front-facing, really powerful, very short-range weapon. We're not going to do that. Or maybe we, instead of having just some weak macro cannon turrets, we want macro cannon batteries, basically, and we can have, they're called lots of heavy cannons, because, of course, it's Orky. Okay. Or we can actually add some ordnance base. So we can send out, we can send out fighters and bombers and assault boats. So actually, I don't have one of those yet, so I'm going to go ahead and make this my ordnance ship. Click. And, oh, well, just really quick, you can see in the background, right, the other Orkish fleets, you can see a rock. There's some Orkish rocks in the background and over there, and a bunch of ships, and the Ork ships just look so cool. They look so ramshackle and put together, but super tough and menacing. And the exhaust, I mean, look at the exhaust here. Looks kind of like those Reaver ships, right, from Firefly or Serenity movie. Okay, well, so now that we have a new ship, that would be a good time to actually show what are the differences in upgrade skills, favors, and so on. So upgrades, mostly the same. Okay, mostly the same. They're just called differently. Orky, like cunning plans, which is great. I love the cunning plans. Lots of thrusters, which is pretty cool. You got some generators. All of these are basically the same. But you do get, where are they? I know there's here somewhere. There we go, chained squigs. Okay, now this one is different. If you take this upgrade, chained squigs, that gives you the option to execute a disobedient captain. Okay, so, but your ship doesn't get a lot of upgrade slots and not a lot of opportunities to actually buy one of these upgrades. So you have to be careful, like how much do you think is going to matter. So that's actually pretty cool. I love this one, fire safety grots. Like, that's just awesome. And actually in the weaponry, Orks have some different skills as well, but most of them are the same as Chaos or Imperial Navy. It's just called a bit differently. Okay, let's go to skills now. In skills, there's one skill that is immediately different from Imperial Navy or Chaos, and that is, of course, Wah! Okay, so Orks love Wah, and what this does is every time you perform an assault action, so you activate Wah, and during that time, while the Wah is active, if you perform an assault action, whether using assault ships, or just a boarding action, or boarding torpedoes, which I'll get to in the other video, they assault an additional, they get a free additional assault action. So that means that Orks can actually potentially, if they're successful, destroy 3 ship components with 1 boarding action if they have the wall active. That's amazing. I mean, I have won battles so easily with Orks just because of that. Okay, so when you're lucky, you're really lucky. But if you can't get into range, and we'll get to that in the combat video, then you're kind of screwed. I think I'm going to, okay, now this is my launching ship, right? Like it's got some ordnance. So why don't we, I'm going to give it a bit more shields, to just add it a little bit of durability, a little bit of sustain. Okay, so let's go to the favors. Now, favors for Orks are quite different from Imperial Navy or Chaos, and I'm really happy about that. We still have 4 favors, and I'll show you one of my ships that has a favor in a bit. You got Evil Sons clans. They want to go faster, right? They're the Ork clan that wants to go faster. So, for example, you get a tractor cannon, so you can actually pull enemy ships. It's haven't tried it out yet. I'm hoping that I'll get enough renown to try that out soon. And their big red button is a lot better. They can use their big red button more often. The Blood Axis clan, they are all about the cunning, with a K, of course. And they can basically run silent. Okay, so if you want those running silent ships, okay, you want to go with Blood Axis clan. And they also get the Nova Cannon. Yeah, they looted a Nova Cannon from an Imperial ship. They put it on they welded to one of their cruisers. Nova Cannon, when it hits like a Mack truck. The Goth clan is the ship. I have the Goth clan ship upgraded. I'll show it to you in a second. This one basically makes it a lot better at boarding and ramming. So ramming damage increased by 50%. And Raging Goths had another assault action while boarding. So with the War and the Raging Goths, you perform 4 assault actions per boarding action. So if you're successful, that enemy ship is gone. And finally, there's the Bad Moon clan. And the Bad Moon clan are better upgrading their ships. It's cheaper. You get a +1 upgrade slot. And you get a Mega Cannon. It is basically allows you to shoot a boarding party from really, really far away. It will hit. So it's pretty hilarious when it works. Okay, so let me just show you really quickly my Goth clan ship. So this is just a regular light cruiser. Okay. And this is the Goth cruiser. It actually looks pretty badass. It's got this black and white paint scheme. It's got these tusks. Big tusks, and kind of a more pointed jaw, I think. Let's take a look. Not the same jaw, but it looks about the same size jaw. It just looks a little bit different. Another major change from Imperial Navy and Chaos and Orks is the fact that Orks get not 3, they get 4 escort ships. Okay, they get a torpedo escort ship. They get the Savage class gunship, which is just basically lots of, well, comparatively, is basically cannons mounted on the prow. It basically attacks only forward because it's an Ork ship, of course, and it just basically goes straight for the enemy and it just guns the enemy. Whatever's in front of it is going to get hurt. And the Onslaught is, it's got the prow guns. It's cheap. It's not that great. But its 4th ship is unique. So you can roughly see the parallels, but it does have a 4th escort ship, and that is the Brute Ram ship. Okay, now the name is Brute Ram. Look at the ship. What does it have? Oh, look, it has a huge ram. What does the ship do? It rams. It rams and it usually blows up, I found. But it usually also takes whatever it rammed with it. And this brings me to another important difference between Ork escort ships and non-Ork escort ships. Now, I don't know if this is going to be patched. I don't know if it's going to stay in the game at final release, but at least the Brute Ram ship, which is an escort class ship, can actually perform boarding actions. So that is actually pretty interesting, okay, because the Imperial Navy and the Chaos, well, their escort class ships cannot perform boarding actions at all. And if we just go to upgrades to escort class ships, pretty much the same, except there's a few things that are grayed out. Obviously, you can't give special orders to a ship, to an escort class ship, so that is grayed out. So what do I think about the Orks? Well, we're going to get to the how Orks actually play in the second video. But what do I think about the fleet building? I like it. It feels different because you can customize your ships. Yes, you have only one light cruiser type and one cruiser type, but then you can customize them with different weapons and ordnances, and cruisers get 2 custom points, and light cruisers get 1 custom points, and battle cruisers, I think, will get 3, and so on. But you can really customize your ships a bit more. Yeah, it has that orky feeling. Orky feeling to it. What I am a bit disappointed about is the skills. There's the Waha skill, and that's it. I was really hoping to see more distinct Orky skills. The other thing that again disappoints me is the crew. I haven't shown the crew yet, but here it is. Weird boys do the same thing as the navigators. Mech boys do the same thing as, Adeptus Mechanicus priests. Master Gunner, it's even called the same as Master Gunner. Boys do the same thing as Ratings or Cultists if you're Chaos. And Grots do the same thing as Servitors or, I think they're called Heretic Servitors or something like that on Chaos. Point is, they all do the exact same, the crews of Orcish ships do the exact same thing as the human crews. The only difference is that Squigs in the Cage, this one, it's grayed out. Okay, so where Imperial Navy and Chaos can put a point in Squigs in the Cage right away, Orks cannot. And Squigs in the Cage basically makes your captain, makes your crew more loyal, and it also allows you to execute your captain. So again, I really hoped to see more variety in crew and skills. We didn't see that. But Orkish favors are quite distinct, and some Orkish upgrades are quite distinct as well. I really like the look of the ships. I like how the UI changes completely. It's all Orky. I love the background. It's just beautiful, if you can call Orky stuff beautiful. But, this giant asteroid field filled with Ork rocks and ships and derelicts and all these belching thrusters. I love it. It looks fantastic. Once again, my respect for the developers of Battlefield Gothic grows with each patch update. By the way, this patch that introduced the Orks also fixed a lot of problems that people were complaining about. It did create some new problems. For some reason, I can't customize the controls anymore. I don't know why that is. It's blacked out for me. So I hope they fix that, of course. But once again, I'm continually impressed by how faithful they are to the tabletop, and I am continually impressed by the graphics and by the amount of tactical options that you have while building your ships and actually fighting, piloting, commanding them in battle. Anyway, these are my first impressions of Ork fleet, of an Ork fleet, of how to build an Ork fleet, what are the differences. And in my next video, I'm going to show an actual Ork fleet in combat. Until then, please like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of this content, and I'll see you in my next video.